Meg and her 21-year-old son Daniel have been constantly arguing since Daniel moved back home 3 weeks ago, unannounced. Meg, distressed by the situation, has made an appointment with family therapist Moshe Lang.
Your name is Meg,
Yes.
isn't it? Yeah. And you are?
Daniel.
Daniel. And how do you like being called?
Or Dan.
Then what do your mates call you?
Danny, probably. Danny.
And your mum?
Daniel.
Daniel. Mm-hmm. So what do you think I should call you?
Uh,
You want to leave it to me?
yeah,
Oh,
well,
okay.
it doesn't matter.
Okay, all this.
Daniel.
Danny? Okay. You are a carpentry apprentice, is that right?
Yeah.
Where do you do your apprenticeship?
My boss builds new houses, so all around, but we're working out.
I see, so it's in the building industry that you're doing
Yeah.
it, really. Right. Mm-hmm. Do you work outside of home?
Yes,
What
I
do you-
work in the city for the
Do
state
you-
government.
Doing what?
I'm in the multimedia department,
Right.
doing community projects.
Actually, I would like to talk more about all this, but maybe because time is short, could you in the first place tell me what brought you here today?
I asked Daniel to come with me. He's just recently moved back into the home with me,
Mhm.
my house, and where I live on my own.
Mhm.
And 3 weeks ago he moved in, and sort of straight away there's been a lot of tension between us. We've been arguing, and I'm finding it difficult.
What have you been arguing about?
Just petty things, really.
Like what?
Where the car gets parked, and
Mhm.
food. I feel like I'm doing all the shopping, and
Mhm.
I suddenly feel like he's taking up a lot of my space,
Mhm.
and I don't
So-
want to
so-
be arguing. I don't want to be arguing. So I want,
The idea, the initiative to come to see me came from you.
yes.
What's your take on what's happening between you and your mum?
I just guess that I don't know. I shouldn't have moved. I probably shouldn't have moved back. But
Why do you feel you should not have?
I don't know, because probably because Mum doesn't really want me there or something
Well,
like that.
it's not that. It's not that I don't want you there. Well, just that it's. You just come in and your stuff's all over the house, and I can't find. There's no room for my things, and I feel like I've enjoyed it being neat and tidy for once. You've been gone for a few years, and suddenly you just come back like. Just feels like a big explosion in the house. Some music and.
So if Daddy behaved differently at home, you'd be happy for him to stay?
Yeah, yes, I think I. Feels a bit more complicated than that.
Complicated in what way?
Oh. I feel like I'm. Well, his father and I separated 5 years ago, and I'm just starting to find a sense of who I am, and I would like Daniel to be there, but I feel like we need to talk about it. To talk about it.
So what is it that you need to talk about then?
I feel like I want to be understood by him, and I want to know more about him, so we can be like friends in a house, perhaps.
So what is it that he doesn't understand about you that you want him to understand?
that I'm a full person and not just a mother. That I have a life that I want to live, that's with friends coming to my house, and I want some sense of respect from him for the things that I like.
So what are the things that you like?
I recently I joined a choir, a local choir, and I feel like he doesn't really, he doesn't value the things that I'm trying to do that are new in my life.
Such as what? You're singing in the
Singing
choir?
And my friends. And you don't share anything with me. I feel like I want to talk with him and he doesn't want to share with me.
And what sort of things do you want to know about Danny that he doesn't share with you or tell you about?
I'd like to meet some of his friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to do some things together.
Such as what?
Oh, I'm going to see a film or something like that.
Danny, how do you feel about what your mum is saying?
It's okay. I didn't. I just think I think the choir's funny, so I made.
Why is it
Probably. Well, it's just because it's funny you singing and doing this warm-ups at home and stuff. I don't know, I just find it funny. So I didn't mean. I mean.
I listen to your music all the time when you're around. I'm doing something that I enjoy. I don't know what's wrong with that.
Danny, from your point of view, I could be as helpful as possible. What sort of things should we sort of talk about, address, try to improve on?
You could wash your clothes.
You're saying that
yeah,
I should do the washing for Danny? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think he could do his own washing.
I see.
Yeah, I could probably lift my weight around a bit more.
And that's what you would like us to talk about? You doing your own washing? Or there are other issues for you that you want us to talk about?
I thought that it would be alright. I thought that it would be alright for me to come home and you know, crash at Mum's place for a while, and I thought that she was going to be happy about that, actually, because she said that she wanted me to, you know, be around more or whatever, and so I don't know, I just think.
So is what you're telling me is that you don't feel welcome back home, that your mom is not happy about you coming back, and that's your main concern?
I think that's why we're here.
Mm-hmm. That's why you're here, as far as presumably your mother is concerned. But the other issues that you would like to put on the table?
I don't know.
Fair enough. Okay. Let me ask you, come at it perhaps differently. For your life to be as good as it can be, what changes would you like your mum to make so that you'll be as happy as you could be?
Well, she wouldn't. like ask so many questions,
Mm-hmm.
and like mum nags a bit, and it gets, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, I'm 21, so I figure that I should be able to, you know, stay out and or whatever. Like, yeah, she wants to know everything about everything. So maybe if she just was a bit more chilled, it would be.
She respected your privacy more.
Yep.
On this, you have a very different take on this. One of your main concerns that you mentioned before is that you would like Danny to talk to you more and share more about his life with you. And he's saying the exact opposite, that he would appreciate if you don't ask so many questions and not nag so much, using his term.
I want him to just behave like an adult, really. He's come back to live in my house.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't pay me any board.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like I'm somehow being used for the house. I don't, it's just not, you could come in and just talk to me like of course not like a friend, but just, you know, we could have a meal together occasionally. I don't feel like I'm asking for a lot, but just some,
So you feel strongly that what you're asking, what you're expecting of Danny is perfectly reasonable.
I do.
Yeah. And you feel perfectly at ease, and it's reasonable of you to ask your mum to not ask so many questions and be so intrusive, perhaps.
It's sort of the way. It's not. So, it's like I don't mind. It's sort of the way that. It's the way that she asks the questions or whatever. It's the way that you.
What's wrong with the way she asks the question? How does she ask?
It's just it's annoying. Like it just annoys me.
Is there another way that she could ask the questions that would not be annoying?
Probably not. Probably not.
Do you think it's in your mum's nature, or it's the nature of mothers, that whatever
Yeah, it's probably.
mothers are?
Yeah, probably.
So, more seriously, there is no way that she could ask the question or questions that you will be comfortable with? Because you said before it's the way she asks the questions.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, it's like I'm always doing. It's like that. What I'm doing is not. It's not right, or it's not good enough, or whatever. So it's sort of. Yeah. It's,
So the way I understand what you're saying, Danny, it's that to your mum, she asks you questions that just because she's interested, she wants to have a conversation. But I think you're saying is that you hear criticism, and that's what maybe you're reacting to. Do you feel criticized by
yeah.
it? And disapproved?
Guess so.
Mm-hmm. Like what? What sort of other things have you felt criticized or disapproved of by your mom now over the years?
I don't know. It's like. I don't know, all the stuff around. I mean, all this stuff. It's like I'm not home enough, or it used to be that I wasn't home enough, and I wasn't, you know, not doing school well enough, and that sort of stuff. Just that sort of, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe if you agree. No, before that, there's one other question I want to ask you. How did you happen to come to see me?
Well, I'd heard about you through a friend,
Mm-hmm.
and when I was separating from my husband, we had some counselling before.
Oh, you and your
Husband,
husband or ex-husband now?
my ex-husband,
Uh-huh.
and I felt it would be a good idea to see someone together so that we could avoid some huge conflict.
What was your experience of the counseling with your ex-husband?
Well, we separated and divorced, but what was it? It was. I felt like I never heard from him the things that I wanted to hear as a wife, and
Such as what?
a respect for my thoughts and what I wanted to do in life and do together. Didn't feel like. Well, he didn't come after 3 times. He scoffed at it. He scoffed at it, really. I didn't think he was just going through the motions, really.
Right. And what was the experience like for you to talk to the counselors by yourself?
It's like I began something, began some understanding of myself.
And you did not complete that?
No,
journey?
I kept going for 2 years.
And?
For the last 12 months, I feel like I've been living on my own in this lovely little house in Caulfield, and I felt happy and happy without the conflict or the feeling of oppression of nobody talking to me in the house. I had your father not talking to me, you not talking to me, feeling like I was just always doing everybody's
Chores?
little chores, and I've been enjoying doing my own little chores.
But no, what interests me is that you went to see this counselor,
Yeah.
and you continue to see her or him?
A woman.
Woman.
Someone,
You continue to see her for 2 years.
yeah.
And at what point did you stop?
I think I had a feeling that I wasn't so sad anymore. But I didn't want. I sort of like I didn't want to be sad anymore or confused.
You had enough of being sad and confused.
Yeah, I felt like to be honest, that I actually was going to enjoy myself out of my marriage, and that felt like what the truth was for me.
Right. Tell me, since you started telling me, tell me the story about the divorce and what you said something to the effect that you left home at the age of 18, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Where did you go then?
I just moved out with some mates.
With mates. And what was it like for you leaving home at that stage?
It's good. It was good to get my own space, and it was fun to like it was good being around my mates and stuff.
And then what happened? What made you want to come back home?
That I've moved to another house now, but all I had, and it wasn't like then the lease came to an end, and plus coming to the end of my apprenticeship, so I sort of need to save some money to buy some tools and stuff. So it was, made sense to move in with Mum. Plus she had this other room, and
So when you first brought up the idea of you moving back in, what was her reaction?
He had to move back in. He didn't have any money.
I see.
I just came home. I should have probably. I don't know. I just figured it was all right just to come back. Like I didn't.
You didn't come
Didn't
back to
think it
see
was-
me, though, did you? You just came back because I would look after you.
I don't need you to look after me like that, though. I don't. Like I've been
Like
looking
what?
after myself for 3.
Like what?
Well. I don't know.
You don't even like me, Daniel, the way you talk to me. You want to come in and have a room, get me to cook for you, and do everything, and you don't even have one little word to say. You scoff at all the things I do.
How do you feel about what your mother is saying? To use my words, I guess she's saying that you use her place, your place. It's like a hotel or something. But,
I don't know.
you don't know what to say. Let me take a detour here. Do you mind telling me between you what happened around the time of the divorce, separation, etc.?
I feel like our marriage just sort of dissolving over about, I don't know, 10 years really. And
So the beginning of the end happened about 10 years ago?
I don't know, there wasn't really any big crisis or stuff. You know, I can only talk about it from looking at it now where I am. I didn't know at the time.
Mm-hmm. So looking back, what can you say?
We just didn't talk to each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There was sort of like going through the motions of a marriage, really.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we went out with our friends, and I don't think that I was being me, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. It's hard to explain it now. But anyway, we couldn't stay. I couldn't stay there. It's like I realised I had to leave.
So the initiative came from you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did.
And tell me, what's happening between Danny and you at the moment? Does it in some way remind you of what happened with your ex-husband and you?
Yeah.
In what way?
Oh. Having him around, and someone I love that doesn't want to communicate with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Doing everything, it feels like I do lots of things for him or for us,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not reciprocated.
So you feel unappreciated.
Yeah, but I feel
Ignored.
like I care. I want to have a feeling of family, and I just yeah.
Let me ask you another question. In what way do you think that Danny is similar to his father, and in what way you think he's different? And I'll then ask you the same question, if it's okay.
He's kind to his friends.
Mm-hmm. Just like his father?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What else?
I know there's sort of a... he seems self-assured.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about the opposite? In what way do you think they're different?
I was hoping that they would be different. Oh.
And are they?
Well, are they? Yeah, they are.
In what way?
Well, I think that Daniel is... I think he's more interested in things in life
Mm-hmm.
other than sport.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In what way you think you are similar to your dad?
Pretty, I mean, you know, pretty loyal to friends, and both probably drink too much, you know.
Who drinks too much?
Both of us.
Both of you? You both drink too much.
Yeah, you know,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what
Mm-hmm.
Mum really wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and
so you think she wanted to? So she didn't say that, what, not to get you back up or something?
yeah,
or?
maybe.
Fair enough.
I think I probably don't work as hard as Dad, which I think is a good thing. When it comes to Mum, I don't want to be like I don't want to be like him. Like I don't want to make her feel like she felt. And
Danny, do you remember the time of your parents' marriage getting into trouble and they're separating, getting divorced and all that?
yeah,
Tell me what it was like.
Dad was an asshole, and
Asshole how?
he just uh, he was an asshole to Mum, and like he'd come home and he'd just snap sometimes and go off his tree, and I don't know, and then they'd...
Was he abusive of your mum? Was he violent?
I don't know, I guess a bit, like...
Mm-hmm.
But it was mainly... I don't know. It's just... It's the stuff that he would say as well, and that sort of thing.
What did he say? Do you mind telling me? Is it okay if Danny tells me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What did he say?
He'd just call her like a dumb bitch and stuff, and and accuse her of not tell her she wasn't. I don't know. She did nothing, and he'd say she was worthless.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tell me,
And then
of all the memories you have of the conflict and things that were happening between your mum and dad, what is the most difficult, the most painful memory you have?
I was sitting on the back step with my dog.
Mm-hmm. And?
Just talking to her, and I don't know. I just felt I don't know, like alone, like it didn't matter where.
Do you mean that they were so busy dealing with each other that they had no time to pay attention to you? And you felt all alone then?
Yeah.
I didn't know that you felt so alone. It sort of makes me feel like I don't know what Daniel's experience of it has been. He was so secretive and rude to me even then.
So what Danny is saying now, is that totally new to you? You never heard him say that?
No, not really.
He has never talked to you and told you about his experience of the divorce and the unhappiness at home was like?
No. Is that why you were so secretive?
I'm not actually secretive. Like I don't have heaps of secrets or anything. It's not like I'm.
How am I supposed to talk to you? Tell me how I'm supposed to talk to you.
I don't know.
I just ask you normal questions. What have you been doing? How are you? Where have you been? It does make me think of him like his father.
Danny, can we go back to the time that you were still at home? Can you tell me more about what it was like for you when things were difficult between your parents?
I don't know. I didn't spend I guess I went missing in a way. Like I didn't. It wasn't good to be around it. Like it was hard to be at home, and
when things were difficult between your parents and your father was calling your mum all those names, at one point you were just with your dog feeling lonely. At other times,
with friends.
With friends. Did you ever talk to any of your friends or anybody else about what it was like for you when your parents were in difficulties?
Like everyone has parents that split up and stuff like that, so I don't know if I really talked about it.
Let me change the subject altogether. Imagine if your dad was here, sitting in a chair here. What would and he heard everything that I said and the two of you said. What would he say at this point?
Rubbish.
Well, not much.
He'll say it's all bullshit, it's rubbish?
Yeah, it's a load of rubbish. He'd think it was a load of rubbish.
I see. Right. Mm-hmm. And he would have nothing else to say?
Mm-mm.
He'd shrivel up and he wouldn't say anything, and then we'd hear all about it in the car on the way home, probably. Or something
what would you hear on the way home in the car?
Yeah, what a load of shit it is, and...
And if I turned to him and said, what's his name?
David.
David. I said to him, David, when you hear Danny talking about what it was like for Danny when the two of you were fighting, what would he say about that? When he hears you describing you upset and distressed, what would he say?
Probably say, pull yourself together, but...
Or you'll be all right.
Cut it out.
You'll be all right.
Pull your socks up.
I don't know if he would say pull your socks up, really.
You'll be right.
Just you'll be all right. Don't worry about us.
Mm-hmm. So...
He doesn't know how to talk, that man.
Danny, you agree? So in a way, But the message indirectly from your father is to keep things to yourself, not to talk. Because there is no point in talking, is there? Because you don't get heard.
Yeah. I don't know, yeah, I guess so. Like he wouldn't... Yeah, he wouldn't talk. He wouldn't even know what he's random. Like he wouldn't even know what he thinks, I don't reckon.
Mm-hmm. You mean, and he would never have stopped to think to himself that when he called you mother names, when he would, what effect it had on you? And he never...
On me, no.
No? So your well-being, what you think, what you feel, what it does to you never occurred to him?
No, probably not. He's a dickhead.
So you reckon, you're telling me that he's a dickhead, to use your language. And when your mum says to you, here in front of me, how similar in some ways you are to your dad, what does that do to you?
I don't like it. I probably am more like him than I want to be. Like I don't... Yeah, I probably snap from time to time or whatever, and I don't know, can say things that I don't mean, and I can... Yeah, I probably don't, like maybe I don't talk about things probably as much as Mum would like or whatever, but...
You make me feel like a dickhead.
Danny, the way you said it just now, I heard it differently. I heard also, I don't talk as much as maybe I would like to, because I don't want to be like my father.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know what I mean?
Huh?
This is tough going, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that at this point of time you think I should know that you haven't told me that would help me to know?
I think that I'm saying that if things were going well between us, that I would like Daniel to live with me. But I don't know if that's really true.
Mm-hmm.
I like my space.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So even if Danny was the perfect son and behaved perfectly well, you're still not sure that you would want him. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is it a difficult thing for you to say?
It's alright, like it's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like it's... I was seriously, like, I just wanted to just save a bit of money and come back for a little while. It's not like I really, like I don't want to stay for long anyway. I just wanted to save some money and come back and whatever. And I don't need that sort of shit anyway. Like I don't need to feel like I have to be on my tippy toes and not leave shit around. And I don't need to have all of that sort of shit to deal with anyway. But I didn't want to be a hassle. I didn't want to be a stress for you anyway. I just wanted to crash for a little bit anyway, and so it's fine. Like it's fine.
Let me put it into words and see if you agree. Maybe what you're saying is this: after you and David separated and divorced, it was a very difficult struggle for you to get your life organized again and feel good about yourself and your space and everything. And when Danny came back, it disturbed all that for you. And in a way, you would like to have a good relationship with your son, but you're not sure that you want to share your home with him at this point, after him being away from home for three years. But you're also very worried that if you ask him not to live with you any longer, that it will create all sorts of difficulties for him, as well as for the both of you, and for your relationship.
Yeah.
And in turn, then he's saying to you, listen, Mom, I'll manage all right without living with you. Just give me a few weeks.
But he hasn't.
He hasn't?
Well, he's come back to me with no money, and I feel like he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't turn up to his classes at the college for the apprenticeship. I know that, and I feel like I should, as a mother, have him at home.
Yes, so for you it's partly the struggle between what you owe to Danny, what you should do as a mother, and what you should do as a person in your own right, in terms of looking after yourself and your own needs. That's your... Danny, is there anything from your point of view that you think I should know before we finish? Anything that you particularly like to tell me?
I think that that I could be an asshole too. That, and I don't necessarily mean to, but I can be.
Okay, tell me one last thing. Is there anything you want to ask me?
Would it be useful for us to come again?
In my view, I think it would be. It would be useful for the two of you to come back together. It may also be that it would be very useful for the two of you to come separately. My own sense of it is that maybe in some sort of a way, on one hand you wanted to say a lot, but you were also protective of each other. And it may be that it would be easier for you in some way perhaps to come also separately. But I don't know what your thoughts about it are, but in my view, the conversation you had with me today potentially is a very productive, very important conversation. See, if I understand it correctly, Danny, for the first time today, how it felt for him when you and David had your difficulties. So even that alone, you're starting a conversation that may be a very, very important one. Similarly, it may be that, that Daniel is a very gutsy fellow who the last thing he said to you and to me was, to use his language, that, what did you say, you could be an asshole sometime, or something, or a dickhead, I forgot which part of the anatomy we were using. But that, that he is able and willing, and it may not be so easy, particularly when you're 21, in front of a stranger, to say, look, I've done my share of wrong things. Particularly when there is the shadow at the back of what happened between you and his father. So, to be honest, I was impressed with what did happen today. And I think my own sense of it wasn't easy for either one of you. But I think it's important. I think it's very important what took place here today. And there's another dimension to it, in my view, that in a way, part of your struggle with each other is a very healthy and appropriate struggle between a mother who wants to have more conversation, more communication with her son, and a son who is struggling perhaps to establish his own independence and autonomy. And that's a very healthy struggle. And to varying degrees it happens, and it should happen between parents and children. But I think probably one of the things that makes it difficult for both of you is that to what extent is history repeating itself, if you know what I mean by that. To what extent, when you get locked up in disagreement, it touches on old wounds or open old wounds for both of you. And with this in mind, I think, in my view, there is more talking that I think is probably worth doing. Would you be willing to leave it on that basis?
I'm happy to agree to that, but
Yeah.
we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm exhausted actually. It was good. So much I want to say. So many more things to talk about. But I'm glad Daniel came with me.
I thought it was going to be I probably thought it was going to be a lecture or something. A bit more. But yeah, it was good.
Well, I'll come back. I hope that Daniel comes back. I'd sort of like him to come on his own, really. Just seeing him talk and hearing. I don't need to hear everything. I'd just like him to open up.
I haven't got any easy answer to the question of how to break into a teenage world and how to make the inarticulate articulate overnight, etc. However, maybe the way to answer it is by quoting Mark Twain, who once said, "When I was 18, I thought that my father was an utter idiot. When I was 21, I thought he was pretty good. The only thing I couldn't work out is how he managed to change so fast." So maybe within a short time, Meg is also going to miraculously change. And from her point of view, Daniel is going to change. In other words, what I'm saying, partly it may be a stage in the life of the family, in a relationship between a mother and a son. It was hard going for me. It was hard going for mother and son. And their life is hard. So what happened in the session, to varying degrees, reflected, I think, their lives. And as such, and I think therapy should be like that. So I was comfortable with what took place. You can't expect people whose life is very difficult to come and make the session with you sound like a breeze. But I did, and I said it to them. I thought it was a good session. Like for me, I guess the struggle for mother was that on one hand, she wanted to tell me about her difficulties and distress and her criticism of her son, her sense of being used and maybe abused. But on the other hand, I guess she felt that if she were to let herself go and tell me chapter and verse about that it would reduce the likelihood that he would then be willing to open up and talk with me. Because to some extent, I guess that's what she wanted of me, is to offer help and support to her son and draw him out and make it possible for him to talk more freely to me or to someone. So she was sort of struggling, as well as struggling between her needs and wishes as a person in her own right and her responsibilities as a mother. It's not just a mother struggling with a child, a 21-year-old child, but it's a woman struggling with a man. And that was what she said in a way. The whole thing was a revisit for her of what happened to Meg with David. And that's what also wives complain when they come to marital therapy with their husband, that too many of us are inarticulate, non-communicative, difficult people. And from Meg's point of view, it was therefore a double whammy. And if you think about it again, if she felt pain and disappointment and a sense of failure in what happened between her and David, to what extent what's happening now with Daniel is the repetition of the very thing that she experienced previously. I don't have an easy recipe of how to deal with it. perhaps apart from quoting Mark Twain, who once said that, he said, when I was 18, I thought my father was an utter idiot. When I was 21, I thought he was pretty good. The only thing I couldn't work out is how he managed to change so fast. And maybe something like that is going to happen between Meg and Daniel. That there is something about it which is part of the growing up process.